What's up everybody, trueeevil here, and today I am bringing you my 100% win rate guide for Carrion Crows Khloros on Inferno difficulty if you are missing some of those really sought out units that seem to be on every clear, which is Lily, Yeli, and Plume. So without further ado, let me explain the team. Now, the DPS we're going to be using for this fight is Rahu, and the reason we're using Rahu is because of a couple of factors. One, he has a follow-up attack that is going to be applied a lot, and because of the mechanics of this fight, you're going to want a lot of units with Swift Rush, and the follow-up is just going to really help dish out that damage. As well as this boss does petrification, and currently, day one of this boss, it seems that Rahu can get Wrath stacks while petrified, which you'll see later in the fight. So those are a couple of really strong things, as well as he does defense down, which is why Yeli is a great option for this fight. But you know, if you don't have dupes in Yeli, she might not be as good as this RGB unit. So highly recommend Rahu, and I'm going to be building him with this Golden Lion build. We're going to be doing defense bonus, crit damage, and crit rate. You're going to want some speed on him, but mainly what you want is momentum, bramble, and fury edge. And the reason you're going to want these instead of, say, like Keen Eye is because with momentum, it's going to apply on his follow-up attacks, whereas Keen Eye only applies on Rahu's turn, so I highly recommend momentum for the maximum amount of damage. Now, he does need debuffs on the enemy for this to apply, and because of that, what we're going to be using as our debuffer, since we do not have Plume, is we're going to be using Viper, and Viper is going to be, you know, Viper is Viper. Really great unit. He's going to help take less damage because the crit damages are going to be reduced, but more importantly, we are going to have him on a Jackal Guard. Jackal Guard is hugely important on Viper for this fight because you want him cycling extremely consistently, and speed up relying on another unit might not be enough. So it's really nice to have this as well as additional damage. And you're just going to want him on Swift Rush, Swift Smite, and it doesn't really matter what the other thing is, right? Just want him as fast as possible with some Swift Rush, Swift Smite. It doesn't matter what the middle thing, it could be anything. Now, for our healer, we are going to use Fushu, and the Fushu build is going to be a little different than usual. And that's because we're running Gigabyte with Swift Rush, Wellspring, and a Volguard. And you might be asking yourself, trueeevil, there's no way this is good. It actually is good in this fight because of the one-shot mechanic in this fight. Well, you want her cycling like crazy, and you want the shield on just in case. And because of that, you want 12 Swift Rush on her, which is kind of a weird thing, but definitely helpful. And then Bloodbath doesn't really do anything because the ultimate does true damage. So because of that, well, it's better to just have Wellspring in my opinion, and then a Volguard, you know, just that increased healing effect. So Wellspring's going to make the shield better, Swift Rush to make her fast, and we're going to be running her on a Gigabyte. And my Gigabyte isn't the best one built because, well, this is kind of like a shell that, you know, not the best shell in PvP, right? So don't have the best passive effects, but this is good enough, and if you can roll better than these, you know, that's great. And I would really recommend to get like Surge, Shadow Dash, and maybe Synergy or something like that. Really just whatever third that you can get that's nice. I wouldn't recommend using too many chips on a shell just to farm a specific stage, but you do you know what I'm saying? And then for the last unit, we are going to be using Doki Doki. And the reason we're using Doki Doki is for a couple of things. One, we need a cycle like crazy, so with the Codex on the skill 3, we're going to be getting a lot of those stacks that are going to get us speed, increased damage, and more importantly, that turn meter increase. So that's going to really help with Khloros' one-shot mechanic. It's going to have the cooldown reduction, which is going to keep Moonlit Veil all the way up, and sometimes it's going to give Viper some cooldown reduction to really get that skill 3 vibing, because we do want to be despelling that speed up as much as possible so we can cycle the boss. And then the skill 1 is going to give those backup stacks, and that is going to make it so we are able to cleanse ourselves of the petrification. So she does pretty much everything you need to do in this fight, so highly recommend Doki Doki. So that's how the team is going to work, and Also, Doki Doki just really helps apply a lot of Wrath stacks on Rahu, as you're going to see in the fight. So sit back, relax, as we walk you through how to beat the fight in real time. Now, I'm going to walk you through how this fight is going to go if you don't know how it's going to work. Basically, Doki is going to get the skill 3, which is going to give those stacks so you can't be petrified. Then Viper is going to hit the D-Spell and give him speed down. And it's really important to put Jackal Guard on Viper instead of something like a Codex, because you really want him cycling like crazy, because one of the minions can apply speed up to the boss. So if you want to make sure that you're winning at this video game, definitely want Jackal Guard for the most consistent uptime on the speed up. I know Fushu does apply it as well, but it's not going to really make you do the skill 3 when you need it, it feels like. So highly recommend on Viper to make sure that he has Jackal Guard. And as you can see with the Doki, we're just super coasting, and everyone's on Swift Rush basically except the Rahu, because you need to cycle on this boss, because if he does land his ultimate, which I don't really understand how it works besides you just need to cycle. So want to be as fast as possible, and Fushu really wants to just be applying the shields because this boss hits like an absolute monster truck. Definitely want to get around that. Now, some other things I want to point out is that when you see the petrification, I want you to watch the Rahu, because Rahu can get Wrath stacks apparently even when petrified, which is a really important thing to point out in my opinion, because I didn't know that was even possible. So let's wait for that to happen, and I'll point it out again when it happens. So basically, super fast team, really jiving. This is a great way to just beat this boss consistently if you are lacking in those really wailed out LD units like me. As a light spinner, I think it's really important to figure out how to do things, and I think right here, yeah, as you can see, Rahu got the 2 Wrath stacks right there. That's really important to point out, because you might not think Rahu is able to get Wrath stacks while petrified, but definitely jiving on that. And because of the Jackal Guard on Viper, he's being able to consistently dispel when he needs to. Now, when Plume does come out, she might be better than Viper for this job. I don't know, but we'll see when we get Plume. The big thing with Plume is she's going to need a lot of lattices, and if you're like me, I only have 2 gold lattices right now, so you might not be able to build her. So Viper definitely works for that 100% win rate. It's just, well, it's always nice to have the LD unit, right? So definitely recommend this team for that 100% clear rate, as you just saw. Now, it is a little bit slower, but I would argue that it's better to have a 100% win rate with a 3-minute time than a 40% win rate with a 40-second time. It's just, you're going to be using your stamina a lot more efficiently, and you're just going to be winning at this video game more. So if this video was helpful for you, please smash that like and subscribe button, and be sure to tune in tomorrow, where I'm going to be spamming so many Plume guides you don't know what you're going to be dealing with. So see you tomorrow.